Hey Sainers, welcome to Saints TV. Welcome to the Thursday night preview show. It's round 21. This week we're taking on the Sydney Swans, one of the in-form teams with Geelong in the AFL at the moment. A team that is on the rise, their percentage out of the top four, and are absolutely flying at the moment. It's a Saturday night game. It was going to be a Sunday game, but it's been moved to Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, which would be good to be back on Saturday night football again. But it comes with its issues on field. Two players went down today, which you would have heard about already. Paddy Ryder being one. Brett Ratton announced on SEN that he's essentially ruled out for this week, at the very least, and then potentially the rest of the season. And Jack Billings, to just top it all off, went down with a hamstring strain at training today, and he's been ruled out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So unless a miracle happens and we make finals, those two are out for the rest of the season. And you couple that with Hunter Clark and Dougal Howard going down last week, it just adds to the pain. So without further ado, we'll get into the teams they've just dropped. I've got them here in front of me, so we'll go through them. In terms of the ins, we've got Nick Coffield, Dara Joyce, Dan McKenzie, so great to have McKenzie back after a couple of weeks out, and the one I thought we missed a lot more than we probably anticipated last week, Jack Sinclair. So he is back in, so it's Nick Coffield, Dara Joyce, McKenzie and Sinclair. And Dara Joyce, you would think, is going to play full back on someone like a Buddy Franklin. We're a bit, worried about that matchup all week, and we're talking about on the podcast if maybe Frawley could come into the fold and play a game, but they've elected to go with Joyce, who I think when he's played previously this year, he's actually been pretty good. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes in the back line. And McKenzie, he just brings that grunt. He's good for a goal as well, and I think we've missed him more than we probably thought we would as well. Like Sinclair, and Sink's being back with Brad Hill off halfback is going to make a big difference to our rebound. And if there's any way we win this game, it's off the back of rebound and intercepting and making sure that any time the ball goes into the Sydney Swans forward line, it's either just punched out of bounds or it's intercepted. And I think that's why they've also brought in Nick Coffield. So Coffield, Highmore, Wilkie, get them back playing that intercept marking game that they're so good at, and let Joyce and other guys in the back line, if we've got anyone else to be honest, chop out and do the grunt work and let everyone else intercept. But I think the best way to win this game is to just pressure them in the midfield, which we didn't do at all last week against Carlton. Pressure them a lot there, and then hope for a turnover and a rebound and get them going the other way. It's going to be tough either way, but let's just go through the outs. We know who they are, but we'll go through them anyway. In terms of the outs, we've got Jack Billings, who's injured, hamstring. Hunter Clark, injured, head knock. Dougal Howard, injured, hamstring. Paul Hunter, omitted, which was expected. And Ben Long, a bit of a surprise because I thought maybe Dean Kent was more likely to be dropped over Ben Long. I've liked Ben Long's game. He's good for a goal. His pressure's great. He's good in the air. He's good at when the ball hits the ground. He's frenetic and he creates a bit of chaos in the forward line. It's not predictable when he's around. You honestly don't know what he's going to do. And being an opponent of someone like Ben Long wouldn't be an easy job because, he's capable of the miraculous, but he's also capable of being very angry and smashing a bloke and getting reported. And, he's got a lot of tools and I think that makes him a threat in the forward line. And I think he's, one of the reasons why we won those 3 games in a row, him and McKenzie as the defensive type forwards, they've been a big part of our turnaround. But I guess if we're going on the last performance, it wasn't a great night for him, but it wasn't a great night for everyone else. So you could have named 4 or 5 other players that warranted being dropped ahead of Ben Long, but he's the one to be picked. And the one notable absentee from the ins that I know a lot of people are going to comment about and they're going to be upset about is Jack Bytel. We're missing Hunter Clark, we're missing Billings, 2 midfielders basically, and there's Bytel who had 28 disposals last week in the VFL. He was best on ground. I think he had 11 tackles and he kicked a goal from the report. That's a perfect game. Surely, with nothing to lose now, you bring in Bytel, you let him play with Burns, you let him play with Connolly, you let the youngsters get a go. Cleverino, get him going. There's those sort of guys that you'd think with 3 games to go, unlikely to make finals, that would be the kind of calls we would make. But, we elected not to. But the other positive that we can take from this lineup is that Sharman looks to be elevated. He's in the forward line, so it's going to be Sharman, King, and Marshall, which is going to be exciting. So good on Sharman for being elevated. He was the medical sub last week. He came on late in the game when Dougal Howard went down, and he kicked 2 goals, and he led well. He took some good marks. He moved well. And for a guy with a light frame, he did a really good job. And if we're any chance of winning this game, we need players like him distracting players away from King and away from Marshall and allowing them space. And if he can bob up for a goal or 2 again himself, that's amazing. But I think his job is to just take a defender, make them accountable, make sure they don't run off you, and allow space for King and Marshall and Membry, that we can't forget. So we've got some tall stocks there. We're missing Paddy. We're missing Dougal Howard. But I think we can make up for it in other ways, in other positions. But it's just about consistency, isn't it? Sydney, you know what you're going to get from Sydney. They're going to be hard at the footy. They're going to tackle all day long. They're good with the ball. They love moving the ball through the corridor. And they've got Buddy Franklin, And they've got Isaac Heaney, who's in very good form. Papley is starting to pick up form. He started the season slow, but he's looking very good at the moment. So their last 5, they've won. They've won 5 in a row. They beat Essendon last week in a shootout. They beat Freo comprehensively. They beat Giants after being 5 goals down. They basically won that game by 5 goals in the end. They beat the Bulldogs and they smashed West Coast by nearly 100 points. Whereas our last 5, we lost to Carlton last week. We lost to the Eagles the week before. We lost to Port the week before that. We beat Brisbane in an amazing game. And we beat Collingwood after being 50 points up and kind of dropping off in the last quarter. And then before that, if we go even further, we beat Richmond. So their last 5 or 6, they've won. Our last 5 or 6, we've won 3. So form-wise, we're not too bad. Even before the Carlton game, we'd lost 2 in a row, but I kind of felt okay because we played some good opposition and the games were close and we had chances in both. But last week was different because it was an important game and we weren't there from the start. If we're any chance in this game, we need to be there from the start. Their lineup is extremely strong. They've made no changes essentially. If you look at their forward line, they've got Wicks there who's good for a goal. Franklin, who's 15 off 1,000. So I hope we can keep him quiet. But it's going to be hard without Dougal Howard. Let's face it. Then they've got Sam Reid, Papley, Heaney and Hayward. Their midfield is as strong as any's at the moment with the youth mixed with the senior boys in there with Parker, Hewitt, Goulden. And it's going to be a big battle. There used to be a Saint, but Tom Hickey, who could be close to All-Australian ruckman at the moment with Nick Nat-Nui. He's been in career best form. He's been incredible for them. He's averaging, I think, about 30 hitouts a game, 20 disposals, 4 marks, 400 metres gained. He's playing like another midfielder, and he showed that in glimpses for us. But he's got a newfound confidence about him now. It's his 4th club, so it's taken him a while to find this form. But it's going to be a very interesting battle with Marshall. I would have backed us to get the ascendancy if we had Paddy Ryder, but it's going to be all on Marshall now. And I think that's partly why Sharman's been elevated. He played well and he deserves it, but I think we can't afford to rest Marshall forward because he's the only ruck now. So it's going to be Marshall v Hickey all day long, and it's going to be Membry, Sharman, and King to really be those tall stocks in the forward line because we can't rest Marshall there unless someone like a Sharman can go in the ruck, or maybe we try King or a Membry, or just throw someone else in there, that we don't give a shit about, just someone that can give Marshall a spell. So that's going to be a big reason for us winning or losing is dependent on how Marshall goes against Hickey. If we actually lift our game and we get back to that clearance game, that contested footy game that we were doing so well previous to the Carlton game, then we're a chance in this. We played them 5 or 6 weeks ago. Higgins had 4 or 5 shots at goal that game. I think he kicked 1 goal 5, so 6 shots. And we could have stolen it at the end, but some bad kicking, and that was the reason probably why we lost. And that was across the whole game. It wasn't just late, it was across the whole game. We just kicked poorly, but we had a chance, and that was in Sydney. But we're at Marvel Stadium now, and our record there is just shit. We don't know how to play Marvel, so it's going to be... That just adds to the test, is that we're playing on a ground that we just don't have good format at the moment, so confidence-wise at this ground, it's low. You add that to the opposition we're playing, who want to play... They want to make top 4, no doubt about it. They are going to be vicious in this game. We need to match them there. And if we don't get the win, fair enough. But we can't have another game like last week where halfway through the second quarter, it just has a feeling like the players have checked out. We don't want that. We want them to fight. That's all we want. We want to see the next 3 weeks, particularly the next 2 where we've got Sydney and Geelong, 2 of the best teams in the comp, 2 of the most informed teams in the comp. We just want to see effort. We want to see guts. We want to see blokes throwing their bodies over the footy. Even if we're 2, 3, 10 goals down, just keep fighting for the jumper. That's what we can ask for. Not last week where the commentator said that it looked like we put we waved the white flag and we basically gave up. We can't have that again. There's enough pressure on the players as it is, on the club in general, through the media, through our expectations, but rightly so, because we expect more, we deserve more, and we know that they can give more. So this week's going to be a big week. I think the result is not the focus, it's the method. It's what we do in the game, in the moment. That's what I care about. If we get the win, it's going to be incredible. That would be one of our best wins of the season. If we don't, we just want to come back here and I want to be able to do my live review on Saturday night and the fan cams, and I want to be able to talk about more good than shit. That's basically it. It's going to be a hard game. Absolutely. They're a very good team. They play the corridor more than most. So if there's any chance for us, we need to corral that. And I think we did that partly 5-6 weeks ago when we played them at the SCG. If you go back and watch the replay or the highlights even, they want to go through the middle of the ground more than not. And we stopped them for probably 70% of that game. But that 30% where we just allowed them that space, they sliced us up. So on a smaller ground where this would suit them, like the SCG, that's going to be a big reason why we're either going to be level with them or close, or we're going to be getting battered and Franklin's going to be kicking 10 goals. It's really on how well our mids can defend the corridor. Last week, they let Carlton go through there way too easy, and Carlton kicked easy goals. This week, let's hope that they've learned their lesson, because every time we want a response, we don't get it. Every time we're favourites, we don't get it. But this week, we're underdogs. And when we're underdogs, we play with nothing to lose. And what does that mean? That means that we play with confidence, we play with flair, we play fast, we play Saints footy. Saints footy is backs against the walls footy. That's what we're going to have to do on the weekend. So I'm intrigued, and I'd say probably excited to see how we respond to last week's shitstorm. And I don't think we could play a better team at the moment. The way they play their football, it's tough, but it's clinical. The matchups all over the ground are going to be very difficult for us. But I want us to not have it easy, for the next 3 games. And we're not. We're going to play the most informed team in the comp in Sydney and Geelong in the next 2 weeks. And then we're playing a team, Fremantle, who are, a chance to make finals. And they're going to really go for it in the next 3 weeks. So every game is a big game for us. And whether the players believe they can make finals or not is irrelevant. I really hope they don't think we can't make it, because that's just already mentally checked out for the year. I want them to still believe they can, and make us believe that we can too. We want to watch the game and we want to be able to cheer for a reason, not just the 4 points. It's the bigger picture, and that's to make finals, to be a successful team, and to learn to win. We need to just bloody learn to win now. We've got this inferiority complex. It's been like that for decades, pretty much since the start of St Kilda Football Club in the 1800s. But we need to get over that. We need to start wanting to win, knowing we can win, believing we can win. Get over this, we're 2 goals down, it's too tough. If there's going to be moments on Saturday night where Sydney bring it, and it's going to get tough, boys, you need to man up. You need to play hard Saints footy and combat that. Don't go into your shells. Don't give up. I don't want to see broken tackles. None of that. I want to see a response to what we dished up last week. That's what we want to see, a response. I did go on Instagram. This is just a bit of a segue, but I posted on Instagram earlier today, and I wanted to get some comments on some Sainers and what they think we can expect from the game. So I asked to send in your fairly realistic predictions on Saturday night's game. So let's go through some of them now, and let's see if there's some interesting ones here. Cardman 22, the big footy YouTuber, the big Saints man, he's commented. He said Saints by 16, and we will pull off an unexpected win. All right, fair enough. That could be nice. Finn has said Max King to kick. Max King career night, excellent pressure, fluid through to the corridor. Saints by 9 points. Riley said steal after the siren to win it from 85 meters out. Lucas has gone 40 points to the Swans. Ash has gone Saints by 10. Highmore to take 6 intercept marks. That's from Catherine. That's a fair call. I reckon he's in for a big day if he needs to step up in the absence of Dougal Howard. Swans by 39 or Saints by 2. That's from Josh. Mate, make up your mind. Come on. Taylor said Swans by 10. Ryan Burns to get 25 plus disposals. Dylan said King to kick 3. Steele best on ground. Higgins kick 6. Saints go down by 18. Look, if Higgins kicks 6, but we go down by 18 points, I'll take that. That's a big day out. Although I think this is probably more realistic. This one's from Jem. Cooper Sharman and Max King kick 20 between them. That would be unreal. Buddy to kick his 1,000th. That's from Corey. Higgins for 3 goals and a draw. That's from Darcy. And let's go with one more. Let's go with one. This one I like. Sam says Ryan Burns 25 plus disposals and 2 goals, and he gets the Rising Star nomination. That I would love to see, and it's about time someone from the club gets a Rising Star, whether it's Connolly, Burns, maybe Sharman. It'd be nice for one of them to have a big day out and for the AFL to recognise some of the youth that's coming through. We've debuted, I think, 5 players this year, so it'd be really... I mean, we know they're going to be good players already. Connolly showed it, Burns has showed it, Sharman, even in his quarter and a half last week, showed that he's capable, but it'd be great to see them lead and just be confident on Saturday night, because I think the future is with them, obviously. It's not with the, no offense, but it's not with the Seb Rosses of the world, even Billings. It's really with this new wave of players coming through, with Max King, with Marshall, Higgins as well, Connolly, Burns, Highmore. These are the guys that are going to be the big reason we win on the weekend, if we win on the weekend. So there's a lot of Sainers thinking the Swans, which is fair enough. They're the favourites for a reason. They're one of the best teams in the competition. But there's also a few Sainers that think that we're in for a big shout. And that's to be fair. We're the most unpredictable team in the competition. We're the most bipolar team in the competition. So every game is a game that we can lose. Absolutely. We know that better than any supporter base in the competition. But we also know that any game is a winnable game. We beat Brisbane 4 weeks ago, but we lose to Carlton. Our biggest loss in the last 6 weeks is Carlton. And in that time, we've played Port, we've played West Coast, we've played Brisbane, we've played Collingwood, who have been better. We've played Richmond. And the team that beat us by the most, Sainers, was Carlton. You would not have tipped that. So on that note, I'm just going to be optimistic. I'm going to say King to kick 4, Sharman to kick 2, Steele to have 35 and 12 tackles, and Saints by 13. I'm going to call that. I know it's probably outrageous, and all the comments are going to say, mate, you're dreaming. But, to be a Saints fan is to be a dreamer. And whether that's, whether it's the sort of dreams that think that you can kind of predict something, or it's a sort of dream where you've had a bit too much to drink and you just lose your mind, that remains to be seen. But that's what I reckon. I think that we're going to see a response. Whether it gets us over the line or not is another question. But that's it for the preview, guys. Thank you for watching. I know it's not a live preview, but I'm going to start doing some more YouTube stuff. So hopefully you appreciate this. A bit more time put into it, some editing, some research, and getting some Saints comments on as well. A bit of a plug. In the meantime, the podcast is out, so you can you can listen to that on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on all the streaming services. And I'll be back after the game on Saturday night, live on Facebook and YouTube for the fan cam. So if you want to join me after the game, make sure you message the page, and I'll be putting a link up on Facebook and Instagram right after the game for anyone that wants to join for a chat and to hopefully celebrate a monumental win. But I'll hold my breath on that. We'll just see what the boys dish up on Saturday night. It's going to be tough. We're playing a very good team, but it's Saturday night football at Marvel against a top team. So it's always exciting just to play a really good team. Whether we lose or we win, it's just good to play the good teams and to learn how to become one of those good teams. So I'll leave it on that note, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I'll see you after the game on Saturday night. But until then, enjoy the rest of your night, and go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.